amigos. Welcome to the Football Amigos show. It's your boy, Me Day. I am so excited for this one for obvious reasons, of course. Amigos, we've missed you all. Welcome back to Game 15 reactions for this week. Of course, we have our household amigos. They look very draw. Their face look very draw. It has like a draw to them. Get it? Get it? They drew their games. Did you get it? Okay. All right. Enough with the jokes. Amigo Ayo, how are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. If you ask me as an Arsenal fan, then times have been better. Yeah,
Different conversation, right? We'll get to it. We'll
completely.
get to it. What about amigo Sam? How are you today, sir?
I'm doing fantastic in terms of the result. No regrets at all. So if you if
Well,
you're expecting me to be crying or something or to be sad, no, you got the wrong guy today. Very
no,
impressive team. Yeah.
good, good. That's awesome. That's awesome. Amigos, of course, like, share, and subscribe. We are so excited to have you back. Talk about our Game 15 reactions for this week. We will start off with the big game, Manchester City versus Manchester United. Manchester United playing away to City on Sunday. The game ended 1 to City, 2 to United. And what a game. First half, basically, amigos, they canceled each other out. Very impressed with how organized we were as a defensive team. Prior to the game starting, of course, there was some controversy in terms of the news that certain players have been dropped for lack of performance to a higher level in training. And it just goes to show when you're not performing as you should in training, there are consequences to it, as everything in life. You do something, there's a consequence to it, both good and bad, and that's how you improve or you develop. So it was very interesting how Amram didn't bring into the squad Marcus Rashford and Garnacho, and it was one of those where, those two are very good players, but mentally you have to have a standard and follow that standard, especially during his press conference of why they were dropped. But the game went on. The odds were against us, of course, but first 15 minutes, very impressed. Controlled the game. We canceled each other out. We're very organized defensively. We kept our defensive shape. Everyone was communicating the entire time. Fortunate time, of course, Mason Mount got injured again. Ayo, have to talk about that player and your thoughts on it because he has only finished 90 minutes since he has joined United once. And that is a stat that really is a cause for concern. Second half, of course, United started creating more chances towards the last 15 minutes. The goal came in early in the second half. Of course, it was a header. It was a good header by Guardiola. But then something happened after the substitutions. They brought in Euro, they brought in Maguire, and they brought in Anthony. And there was a tactical tweak. You could clearly see it. Again, these boys are coached. They looked like they're coached, and they look to be listening and working hard. And of course, the Ahmad show happened, right? Ahmad, he is becoming a player that's very consistent. I'm not going to go as far as world class. He's not there yet. I don't know why some of us in the media are saying world class. No, he's. Let's be realistic. He's not there yet, but a world class player is one that consistently performs at an 8 or a 9 rating every season. If a player can do that for about 4 seasons, then yeah, he can be considered world class. Of course, the amateur happened. We scored in a penalty, rightfully so, of course, and then the Ahmad goal happened to in the 90 minutes. We all went crazy and delirious. It was pandemonium, of course, and well deserved too. We're not back. I won't say we're back, but we are close to getting there. We're close to getting there. Ayo, I will let you speak from a City standpoint and Sam from a United standpoint. Ayo, City, again, they've lost their eighth game now in a row. Well, no, not in a row. They won, and then they lost twice. I'll give them that. What could you say from the game?
Man United win this week. Midday, Man United is back. Man United
No,
lose next
no,
week.
no,
Midday,
no.
Man United. I don't know they know what's going on. Week after that, Man United win. They are so back.
No, I didn't say they're back. They're not. They're not. We're getting closer though. We're getting closer.
No, this I don't know if you watched the predictions last week. I said Man United will surprise you. I think Man United were a much more organized team than Manchester City at the moment. I said the only caveat and why I thought eventually they would lose was I didn't see Man United going through that game without making serious mistakes that led to goals. I said otherwise I would back Man United. Me seeing the game, it didn't progress exactly how I expected it to, because I actually thought Man United would show out a little bit more, and the fact that they were contained, what's it called, so effectively in the first half is neither there nor there. Man City makes some adjustments by putting Nunes in the back and moving Guardiola to the center that made them solid, but they tired and they still can't handle transitions. And you just play direct. You isolate players. Players make mistake for not being comfortable in the zones that they're operating in, and it happens. You can tell that this is a team that's completely rattled. This is a team that it doesn't take much to shake their confidence, which is something you never thought you could say about Man City. But you're saying this. You push, they fall. You they don't bend anymore. They snap into. We saw the Frankfurt game. We saw this. They go from a place where the chances are coming, the pressure is coming, but Nunes has no excuse for the pass and the subsequent tackle that opens the game wide in, I don't know what this was, 82nd minute when that happened. So uh, Pep has a lot to be depressed about. Uh, they have to figure out a way. Because remember when we did this analysis a few weeks ago, I said I don't see the solution within the squad right now. They're
Mm-hmm.
actually one of the teams that must go into the market in January to avoid a further slide because you're clearly out of the running for the Premier League. I don't see them recovering that. Uh, but I also think they're actually in trouble for the top four if they don't find solutions in general. Yeah.
No, I agree with you, Ayo. It's looking to me that their team is looking stale, and I don't know if the hunger is there anymore after winning the treble and so many trophies in the past. This is where Pep will have to really show he's a good coach that everyone knows he is by renewing that team as much as possible, not just in January, but in the summer as well. Sam, your perspective about United.
Massive congratulations to you on
United,
great job.
United, United.
And kudos to Aya as well for the prediction from the last show. I think we hit the nail on the head. My prediction was Man United is going to win the game. And even when it was 1-0, I was refreshing the score. I was hoping they at least get a tie in that game. What did I see in the game? I have to be honest. Man City just doesn't look like they want to play or win any game anymore. And United, when you look at United, United has the belief in the game. They believe they could win that game from the very first minute. I'll give you some pointers, man. When you look at when Fernandez scored, when he equalized, you can see even Martinez was like, "Come on, we got to go back."
Mm-hmm.
Maguire was like, "We got to go back. The game is
Mm-hmm.
not over." The belief was there, and you have to go back to the discipline too. When the coach announced that, hey, Marcus Rashford of all players, Garnacho is like our sharp star, is not going to play. It sends a lot of message about the team. So the discipline also translated to the squad selection and also to the game they played. When I saw that he played three at the back, which is that's his formation against Man City. I'm like, they are really coming out to win. They're really, really coming out to win. But all of when I look at the highlights as well, the game, the game rested on Ahmad's performance, Fernando's aggressiveness in that game. Those key players were superb in the game. A big credit to Ahmad, man. I think Ahmad has been underrated so far. I hope he stays that way. Um, but overall, United had the belief, and they just very conscious. They were not ready to make any mistakes, which we were all expecting. Even Onana was on his own game. So I just think Man United played into the hands of a better team. Honestly, excuse me, Man City play into the hands of a better team. They are weak right now, and they are not just ready to put up a fight. And United is ready. They turn the ball, they turn the corner, and the coach is taking advantage of every game. And I hope he stays that way. And that way, you probably would have the confidence to say Man United is back. This is good result, but it doesn't tell us where they are heading. I think they're heading in the right direction, but I want to see one or two more games before I say Man United is back.
Absolutely agree with you. And he also sends the message, if players don't like it or not, anyone is droppable if you're not performing. That's life. Every team should have that mentality. It's as simple as that. Amigos, like, share, and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts before we try not to make it a whole Man United show. Before we move on to our next fixture, Ayo, what are you seeing with United that makes you think they're on the right track, especially on the field too?
Um, for me, and I think it's still early because I was thinking about the game. What I was going. Ten Hag beat Man City with a better Man City squad under more stressful conditions. In the FA Cup final, and he beat them more convincingly. It wasn't like a last minute salvo. It was like a comprehensive defeat. So, what you can take from this game in terms of extrapolating is almost one of these things that we still have to be cautious. What I like that he has brought into Man United, Amorim I'm speaking about, is they're a lot more stable, their basis. So they're not moving in erratic ways that is creating easy avenues for exploitation by other teams. It doesn't seem. I'm not saying that teams can't find it on when the game gets into a high transition uh, phase. However, they can stay compact, they can stay disciplined, and they can stay resilient. Uh, I like their building out from the back. It's a lot more effective, a lot less turnovers, and they approach the final third more regularly with more consistency. And these entries are not happening as a result of just punting. They do go direct sometimes. You can see some interesting movements, player occupying spaces or evacuating spaces to allow for ball progression into these deadly areas. The final entry into the box, they can still work. But all in all, there's just a sense of hope. There's a sense of possibility in terms of looking at the future. I will say if there's a time to beat Man City, it's now. Like any team wants to play Man City right now. So what you can extrapolate from it is difficult. However, also results matter in terms of building buy-in into the way Amorim wants the team to play. It also matters in building belief and confidence. No matter how good the coach is, if you're not winning games, the players lose motivation, they lose desire, they stop trusting the instruction, and things fall further behind. What he has been able to do is get some really, really good, not necessarily wins, but performances under their belt to build a sense of belief that if they keep going this path, that they can challenge again. And I think that's some of the hardest things to see because you're seeing some of these games and there are elements of luck to some of the wins. However, they feel earned. And I feel like for him to do that in such a short amount of time is his credit. I really don't know how this rest of season should go. I think it's still going to be a season of trying to figure out if what his approach will work and who the players are for this system. Because next week, completely different challenge. Yep. Man City are weak at the one thing Premier League teams are supposed to be good at, which is handling transitions. So you go to the next team and it doesn't go the same way. We can't see. Ahmad is having his breakout season, though. I'll give him that. I don't know if he's a future great. Anyone that's talking world class is should be laughed out. Garnacho had a great season last season. We see where he is now, dropped from the squad. Uh, what you do afterwards, how you kick on matters. So breakout season. I can't remember. Was that short kid, that short winger that used to play for Man United? That he went to Leeds afterwards?
Daniel James.
Daniel James. Remember when he was having his breakout season? Everyone was like, "This is the guy that's going to like take over the world," and ends up at Leeds. So it's just too early. I just love his desire. I love his application, and I also like his technique. But we'll see what that brings in maybe 2 seasons time.
Speaking about finding out more about the team, Sam, Liverpool drew to Fulham 2-2. What the heck happened to defense? I have to ask. I understand the red card happened to Robinson, yes, but for one, I would love to hear Ayo's thoughts from a Fulham perspective. But Liverpool, Sam, talk me through it.
Yeah, Andy Robertson has now been in the best performance in the last 3 or 4 games since he got back from injury. And so the goal could have been prevented by him if he was honestly if he was more conscious. The game is still early. I know all this adrenaline is not kicking in yet. Um, so we have to call a spade a spade. I think Andy Robinson could have done better in that goal. And with the goal, it probably was in some high pressure. It just wasn't stable because the tackle that got in the red, not yeah, the red card could have been well handled. Andy Robinson is a player that when it comes to defense, he does a lot of sliding. He comes in fast, cleans up a lot, but he does pretty well with one on one. If he's a little calmer, I don't see that ball going anywhere other if you hold the player down. So once the red card comes in, what Liverpool, the right thing for Liverpool, which credit to Arne Slot by the way for not making any substitution. I think most coaches are just like, yeah, let me go, find a replacement in defense and kind of forward a little bit, shift a little bit. Of course, we don't have Simicas as well fit. So it was kind of limited with options. But I like that he just shifted based on what he had on the field. And the natural thing that Liverpool would do when you're down at Anfield, 10 men is to go like we are not gonna slow down. We wanna rush, we wanna put pressure on you, which to some extent it had a great advantage for us. But at the same time, I think if we slow down a little bit, there are some passes that we could have got away with, and we could have passed the ball honestly to the back of the net. Big credit to Fulham though. They also didn't fold, so which made the game a little bit intense. They were not ready to settle. What I think they should have done, to be honest, personally, is probably bring Adama Traore in a little sooner. Just kill the game, like kill the game, put pressure on the defense, and if it's 2-0, it's almost impossible for Liverpool to come back. But uh, coaches have different style. Maybe you're a coach, understand this game better than me. But I think big credit to Liverpool. I'm still proud of the boys for finding a way to come back and stay in the game. But we could have won that game even with 10 men, honestly. If we slow down a little bit, we did slow down. Uh, the second half of the second half, like after we got the goal in the second half, we slowed down, and it was just because we were tired. Uh, but tactically, I think they should be proud of themselves despite the
Mhm,
mistakes.
mhm. I think technically too, the way Robinson controlled that ball was when the mistake happened. He used, there's something that I try to teach my players. Whenever you're controlling a ball, because his positioning was excellent, right? He was on the inside of the attacking player, which as a defender, that's where you want to be because then you get the ball first. But he used his front foot to control the ball instead of his back foot. And that just leaves the room for an error. And on this day, if that ball is remotely wet or you misjudge the flight of the ball, you're gonna miss the ball, and that was exactly what happened in this situation. And he wasn't gonna let that player just run past him. That's why he took him down, and unfortunately, caused the red card. But that's professional soccer for you, right? He will learn
I
from
have a
it.
question though. Now that I look at it, does that
Mhm.
even warrant a straight red card though?
If you are stopping someone from scoring, yes, based on the rules, yes. Ayo, what do you back me up there? What do you think? If
It's a
you're,
straight red.
yeah,
You can't be the last defender, and
What
hmm
I thought
so so the how it works is if you deny a goal scoring opportunity,
hmm
if you're deemed to have attempted for the ball,
hmm
it was like a 50-50 challenge. You attempted for the ball, you can get away with a yellow card.
hmm
But if there doesn't seem to be an obvious attempt to play the ball, that is seen as direct interference with a goal for a goal scoring opportunity. Because what they like to gauge is if he goes past you, is he going on to have a good attempt on goal? And the answer is yes. And so that's
hmm
why I get a red card. I believe that's very similar to what Saliba
hmm
did. So it looked instinctive. Saliba was also instinctive. I think the problem was he actually tried to control the ball.
hmm
Very few players can control that ball and stop its momentum from going towards your goal. And knowing that, knowing where the player was, you either try and kick it out, right? Or you try and pass it to your goalkeeper. You can't try and control it under that trajectory. I was supremely impressed by how Liverpool responded to the setback. This was a game that solidified from my perspective that I don't think Arsenal can catch them. You go one goal down and you can accept this, and they just turned on the gas. They went pedal to the metal, and they created. Joe Gomez was incredible. He was almost playing two positions, defender and midfielder, uh, and all the other players. So Liverpool have a lot of ball carriers, and it really, really allows them to thrive, even if you're a man down, because Diaz can carry the ball. Salah can carry the ball. Even in the center, you have players like Gomez et al. That can carry the ball, and it allowed them to cover up the deficiency that it normally would have had because you're not passing to a player in a position, you're taking the ball to that position. So therefore, everything that felt like should go wrong if you have one less man, one less person to pass to, did not really matter because you weren't passing it to someone, you were carrying it to whatever position it needed to be. And so, wonderful team performance, wonderful team mentality. Mo Salah, do we need to say less? This was a game. This was a game more than the draw that we'll talk about later. This was the performance that made me think that I don't really think anyone's catching them because it needs a self destruction on Liverpool's part for them to be caught because it looks like no matter what it is, you need miracles to happen to stand a chance of beating them in this league. And when you're at that place, I feel like that's insurmountable.
And to your point, I think for me is the ability to get goals when they need to. It's almost second nature now for them. They know how to score regardless of the opponents, and they will get that goal. I mean, look at Gakpo today. Again, he just keeps scoring. He just keeps scoring. And if a team has the ability to score, you have a better chance of gaining those 3 points, even when it's backs against the wall situation. Any thoughts about Fulham and how their performance was, Ayo?
Leggy. They were surprisingly leggy. If you told me that Fulham had a midweek game and Liverpool had all week to prepare, I would have believed you. But it felt the opposite. They were too leggy. And when the game was getting that stretched, and I was watching this game and how much control Liverpool took, you need players who can stretch the game to punish that. I kept looking at Demar Traore on the bench, and it kept bugging me out because I was so surprised by the lack of pace. It was bugging me out so much, and I was like, "You have this player where like don't forget about being able to score, stretch him, make those people work. Take like if Gomez has legs, take it from him. If Robertson, I don't know who did Gomez shift out. Why? Because he felt like much more central. Who was covering the left back position?
it was Gomez, Van Dijk, and Trent.
They
And
went to a
Trent.
back
So
three.
The
they
three,
went to a back three.
three. Yeah.
Then if Gomez is causing you this amount of trouble, take his legs away. Like, and that's what, like, even if you don't create anything, just take these players' legs. And they never responded to that intensity. And that's why Liverpool were able to pin them back. So I think game management from Fulham's behalf was not up to par.
Mhm.
But other than that, Liverpool were just really good. Yeah.
Mhm. I think from a coaching perspective, Ayo, to your point, the reason why maybe they didn't bring Adama back was because Adama tends to not recover back to help defend, and Wilson does. Harry Wilson will go back and help defend. But to your point, that's the point of taking risk, right?
But even
If
in his game,
Liverpool,
though,
go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead. No, after you, after you.
If Liverpool's backs against the wall, if they're against the ringer, I see your point. Taking that risk to, and I guess Coach Adama Traore, you must come back if we don't have the ball, right? Because every player should know how to defend and attack as well.
Yeah, I agree. That's exactly what I was trying to say, though. Even if the coach says, "Hey, you have to come back," you kind of also need him in the front a little bit in that game, just to put pressure on Liverpool to not come at you, because they will always leave Gomez to stay with him if Adama doesn't track back, right? You can't leave him isolated. So it would have been a win-win, honestly, given that okay, I don't need you to score. I just need you to give them some stress, like how you said, right? Even though if you're not tracking back, it's only gonna be nine of them over there, right? And we got you up front, and somebody's got to be with you. So, but either way, I still think they were impressive to some extent. The few times they had ball in their hands, in their legs, definitely Wobie was outstanding. I think Harry Wilson just needs to go learn how to kick a little bit more. There's some miss kick that he's been having lately. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think he has pace, and his struck is like his lack of pace was so. Oh my
It
God, I was
was it was
watching
it
that
was
game,
obvious, yeah.
and I could just see it because even if he didn't defend at all, even like you don't even because they lost the control of the game anyway. So it doesn't really matter whether or not he's there. Liverpool were crashing their final third almost at will. So at that
Hmm.
point, it doesn't even matter if what's it called they score or no one comes back. You want to punish that foray into your half by exploiting that space that opens up because they were putting the ball direct anyway. Who do you want running trying to get that ball? Do you
It
want
should be
Wilson
Adama.
or do you want Adama Traore? Like it didn't make sense for me the longer I was watching that game. And so I think it's game management. I think that the
Hmm.
coach kind of dropped the ball because I think he almost panicked. Because I guess
Hmm.
you expect Liverpool to yield.
Yeah.
I think that's the idea. And the fact that they even pulled on the gas even more, it looked like they double bluffed him. And he just
Hmm.
What
like
am I
threw.
gonna do? Yeah.
And yeah, so that's my only unless maybe Adama Traore is carrying an injury that we don't know
Possibly.
about.
Possibly.
Uh, Other than that, I feel like that
Hmm.
was the obvious counter. Yeah. Mhm.
Lastly, Sam, one question for you before we move on to Arsenal Everton. Robinson, would you
Yeah.
take him in Liverpool?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Before this season, I think he's good replacement for Robertson for
He had an
sure.
excellent game.
Absolutely, that guy is, of course, Robertson. Our Liverpool Robertson always very good. Very good player when he goes forward. But Robinson is much better player when he's up front. His crosses are more clinical and more destructive. So yeah, I would definitely would take him for sure. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on him?
Oh, I called him out in the Arsenal Fulham game. I thought he was the one that really stifled us. He has industry. He has legs for days. He has pace. He's fast.
He
And
never
he has
gets injured. I've never heard him get injured before.
yeah for the way Liverpool like to play, which is based on ball progression through carrying. It's a no-brainer.
It's a
Yeah.
no-brainer.
Mhm.
We'll see. We'll see. There are a lot of clubs, United and Liverpool, I've heard they're looking at him very
He'll be
closely.
very useful. He'll be a game changer in Man United. He'll
Oh,
be
I
a
was about to
Yes,
say you
a
should
whole
take
lot.
him.
100%.
I'll let you guys have it over
100%.
Liverpool just so you guys can survive at least next 2 years.
Well, thank you, Sam. Thank
Oh
you.
wow.
That's where we are. Speaking of survival,
Hmm.
Arsenal Everton. Everton survived at the Emirates. Arsenal played Everton. It was 0-0. And I don't think the finishing boots were on from an Arsenal standpoint. Pickford had a worldie. Pickford is the goalkeeper for Everton, Amigos. And it looked to me when I watched the game, Arsenal had chances. They just couldn't finish. And when that happens, it kind of psychologically impacts the team. And again, I know we talked about this offline, but personally, I still felt that was a penalty on Partey. Personally, I felt it was. I don't think that player touched the ball, but some might say it might be a little harsh to give that, but it was in the box. He didn't touch the ball. They both got the player. To me, that's a penalty. I will start with you. Arsenal's performance. Why did you think they couldn't finish their chances?
Mm, you can't always finish all the chances you make. I don't think there was like a chance that was, you must score. They were all good positions, good chances that, the Everton defense were very dogged. They were sliding in. They were, what's it called? They were last ditch tackles all the way. Their goalkeeper, he had very good saves. They weren't impossible saves. The players they didn't make him impossible shots. They were doable saves, but this really happens. My frustration with them was as the game went on, how Arsenal responded. I can see the first half we had control, we had impetus. We limited their forays into our half. I was gonna say we limited our chances, like we literally limited their forays into a half. We recovered the ball fast and we tried to launch attacks fast enough. But what we saw was Declan Rice lose energy. He had to be taken off. Odegaard had to be taken off. And those two were not as horrible. No, Declan Rice leaving was very horrible because I'll explain why Jorginho was a problem. And then Miles leaving and then having to move Timber to the other side and Partey in. What that made up us was that we couldn't regain the ball as fast as we were before that was happening. By the time you have, because a duel with Jorginho is not the same as dueling Declan Rice. You almost have no chance whenever you're trying to take the ball past him. He'll recover the ball, relaunch that attack. What that happened was that instead of being able to recover the ball, Everton were able to take it further into a half. They had no intention of doing anything with the ball. They had every intention from stopping us from regaining it on time. And from that like 60-minute down, the game just became just nothing. Nothing was happening because we couldn't regain that ball fast enough, and Everton were determined to keep it right for as long as possible, even sometimes getting corners. And that just took the energy. It took the what's it called? The impetus out of the game, and we didn't have the tools to get it back. We have a problem with transitions. One thing I was very frustrated about is we regain the ball. The goal is to hit them before they reset. When you have a team that is going to defend very compactly, disciplined, you have to really, really ask them questions. And a big part of those questions are fast transitions. You regain the ball, you ask them immediately a question, whether it's through Saka or through Martinelli, because Martinelli has some speed. I mean, he was paired up against Ashley Young. I think he should beat him for pace, but we never did that. We would take our time to reset, allow Everton to get back in shape, and then try and break them down. And I'm like, that's a much harder sell. And then especially as our legs started going, it now became ridiculous. And so I predicted this, but it didn't hurt any less when it was happening because I knew they were just going to frustrate you by being dogged and being hard to break down. And they had the fitness. They haven't played in what's it called in 10 days. If you ask them to just sit down, not do anything too inventive, just be disciplined and rugged for 90 minutes, they can give you that. And so when I saw that game, I realized that our base level is not enough to challenge. Like Chelsea, Liverpool dropped 4 points in 2 games, right? We should have been on 34 points, 5 points, what's it called? 2 points behind, 5 points with a game in hand. If they win it, we're still 9 points away, technically. Chelsea gained, and Chelsea are showing that they can keep up. We should have beaten Fulham. We had enough chances to beat Fulham. So not beating them is unacceptable. We should have beaten Everton. We had enough chances to beat them. So not being able to do that is unacceptable. So I'm personally writing winning off. I still expect them to get into Champions League. I still expect them to be top four. But it's really disappointing because the solutions are not in the squad. And if the solutions are not in the squad for these kind of games, these kind of moments when the team is not willing to come at you and they just want to just stay and compact, you have to, even if you have to trade, like a team I know that like that's actually good who take those odds to trade, basically let you come at them, stretch the game out, and they think they'll beat you blow for blow is Liverpool, and like be able to trade, let them come at you and hurt them on a transition. But we're not good at that either. So whenever teams like take the impetus and camp in our half, we have a very hard time regaining that impetus. And so I see this as a game as Martinelli and Trossard. That is one player masquerading as two. That has to be sorted out. We need better fitness. And then in the summer, I don't think is a problem that we can fix. We have to look at a striker because one thing I did not like is I needed more conviction in the box. And there are not that many players. Like Odegaard took one or too many touches before he shot, or players are shooting directly at the uh, goalkeeper, or just not taking their time to make good decisions. And I think you want someone in those boxes when games are like this, who crash the box or who approach scoring a goal with clarity, with conviction, and more importantly with power. Mhm.
No, I agree with you. It seems to me that even when I saw the starting lineup from an Everton standpoint, they changed their formation to a 4-3 to a 1-4-3-3. But the midfield, Sam, I don't know if you noticed this, but they had Decore, they had Idrissa Gueye, and they had Mangala. They're defensive, all three of them, and they have legs. They will keep running. One thing Mangala has, he has long range passing a lot. He knows how to ping that ball on the ground, and I think that to your point, Ayo, they just sat there. They literally. I remember there was a moment where Arsenal's defensive line was so up, and Calvert Lewin was right. Once you get past the middle of the field, that's when they started pressing. So they let you all. It was kind of like a mid block, to be honest. They let you all come in, and then they just man marked and they just kept it tight. Sam, it looked to me that Sean Dyche is known for setting up his team very defensively, and it looked to me that today he picked the right players to neutralize all of Arsenal's attack. Your thoughts on that?
Again, big shout out to Ayo for the great prediction of what this game is going to look like. I have to say, Everton won the game. They didn't win the 3 points, but they won the game. That's what they came for, a draw, and they got it. Like you said, they put all the machinery in the game. I didn't see the full game, uh, but I also saw the formation afterwards. I was like, oh yeah, yeah. The idea was to just be defensive. As a matter of fact, I don't even know if they're expecting, uh, if they put Calvin Lewis up front to chase any possible counter or anything. No, everybody was just there. Support the midfielders are there to support the defender, and the striker, the forward are there to cover up for the midfield. That was just all set up. So it must be frustrating for sure. The way I like the way how you put it. Arsenal just doesn't have that kind of resources to match that. Honestly, Everton has had a bunch of rest for that, and they also came in to defend. So it's nothing to be sad about. Of course, if you really want to go, top of the table or chase Liverpool down, it's just not an impressive result. And I don't think it make Arteta less of a good coach if you cannot break that. Because at some point you always have to look at it. The resources that you have, if he's not matching up with the strategy of the other guys, there's no way you can take them down. But on the selfish side of things, I'm thankful for the results. The game almost feels like nothing happened. I don't like Everton. They took some point from me, and I don't want Arsenal to do well, respectfully. And there was no goal in the game, so it was just a flat. It just seemed like they took it out of the existence of Premier League. So that's just the way I see the game, but it is what it is.
No, it was a game of just tactical strength from a Shondai's playbook in terms of parking the bus and not allowing any space for creation. At the end of the day, it'll be interesting to see how Arsenal, in terms of what they do in the transfer window, especially Edu leaving. I'm hearing rumors about Dan Ashford coming in. I don't know
I
what
think we've
Donkey's gonna
promoted
do.
there's a guy promoted from in-house. I forget his name.
Oh, good,
Yeah,
good.
so
So, any rumors about players that they're looking at for January?
the problem with and that's the thing, like Martinelli is not a bad player for like 80% of teams. It's when you're trying to push on to that next level. And the next level players that we need are not available in January. That's the difficulty. Like these are players that are summer acquisitions and cost, you know, 70 to 100 million. I don't think we're going to find that player in January. The question now is what can we do in the meantime to affect that? We have been weak in transitions for 2 seasons, 3 seasons now. I'd like to see fast breaks. I saw some, and Martinelli is a big part of what those breaks are, but he is just disappointed. I've lost faith in him. I was losing faith with him last season. I think this season I've completely lost faith in him, and Trossard is not fast enough. So we have to figure out ways of dealing with teams that will just go into a mid block. You're right about being a mid block. That's not low block is not what we really struggle with. It's a mid block that really hurts us, and it's finding solutions within the team to account for that. I don't know how, because the two type of profiles I think will be good at this. I don't think we have, and so like the only thing that comes close is Sterling, but I don't think he's reliable. I don't even know why we bought him. Like it seems like an extra warm body. It's like you just save the money for next season. But I know we paid almost nothing for him, so I can
Yeah.
see why they did it. Yeah.
On that note, amigos, like, share, and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts about Game 15 and what you enjoyed from that week. Of course, stay tuned for Game 16 coming up this weekend. In terms of our predictions, we have a packed show for you. Of course, big game coming up this weekend, Tottenham, Liverpool. Stay tuned to hear what Sam has to say about that prediction. And of course, Ayo as well, being his complete rival of Tottenham from an Arsenal standpoint. Amigo, stay tuned for those predictions in our next show. Thank you so much for your time. Have a wonderful rest of your week. As always, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa to you all, whatever religion you follow. Thank you so much for your time today. We will see you soon. Take care, amigos. Stay positive.
Bye, guys.